really. I paid for it.
You paid for it.
I have been in this race.
Cinnamon.
I've been in this race for a year. And I've been running against the senior senator from the state of Connecticut. But this is not the first tough race that I've been in. For those of you who are familiar with me in eastern Connecticut, you will know that I ran, first of all, for the Connecticut General Assembly in a district where they said a Republican couldn't win because it was only 25% Republican by party affiliation. I not only won that seat and voted against the income tax, but I won it for 4 more terms, at which point I term limited myself and ran for the Congress against Sam Gageson. Sam Gageson was a liberal Democrat who had been in the Congress for 20 years. He was well known, well funded, and couldn't be beat. Did you know that? I was told that. He can't be beat. Especially by you, Rob. You're a Republican, and the district is only 20% Republican by party affiliation. Well, with a lot of work and a lot of effort and a lot of support and a lot of good ideas, we defeated him and went on to win 2 more races so that I was a Republican in the most Democrat district in America held by a Republican, and finally lost in 2006 by 83 votes. That shows what can be done if you have the support of the people and if you have the issues that the people are concerned about. Fast forward to Massachusetts. Anybody been to Massachusetts? Now, think about this for a minute. 1773. What happened in Massachusetts in 1773?
Tea Party.
We had a Tea Party.
Yeah.
A Tea Party. The first Tea Party.
Last time a Republican won.
And with that Tea Party in 1773, we ended up in 1776 with the Declaration of Independence and the Revolutionary War, and some years later with this Constitution. So you see, Tea Parties are good. And I support Tea Parties. And last year, I support Tea Parties. And last year, when I heard that there was going to be a Tea Party in New Haven and Hartford and Norwich, and that T was an acronym for taxed enough already, I agreed. I felt that, my wife and I, and she works hard, that she said, we've been taxed enough already. And I wanted to go out and see what it was all about. And so I did. I went to New Haven. It was a very cold, windy day. Anybody in New Haven that day? Yeah. And the traffic was going by slowly, a lot of horns honking. And I looked around, and I saw people that I felt were just like me. I saw people that looked like they'd worked for a living, looked like they, there was a family with kids. There were police officers, former military. And they were passing the mic around, and people were just simply talking. And I eventually got the mic, and I said a few things and got some support. And I thought, this is important. This is exciting. I went to Hartford. My God, anybody go to Hartford for the Tea Party? Yes. Right. Good. Thousands of people. One lady had tea bags on her eyeglasses. I mean, it was exciting. And then I went to Norwich. And now Norwich is a small town in eastern Connecticut. Anybody in Norwich for the Tea Party? Yeah. I went there. A relatively small location, but probably close to 1,000 people there. And I found that that was very heartening. I found that people were exercising their constitutional rights, their First Amendment rights. They were doing it peaceably. They were doing it through speech, not any kind of hostile action. And in fact, the things that were on their mind, which was the spending and the TARP and the stimulus package and, eventually, of course, the government takeover of health care, taking our choice out of health care, that these were issues that we all had a similar concern about. That some like me who spent their whole life working for a living and saving their money for an eventual retirement, had discovered our retirement accounts were worth half or less of what they'd been worth before. And that somehow, somewhere, something had gone wrong and people hadn't helped out that we had elected to represent us. So to me, that was an exciting event and an important event. And I welcome the opportunity today to share with you all your concerns, to listen first and foremost, to try to express myself back on some of these issues. But let me say a few more things before we get into that, if that's agreeable. I'm in a political race against Senator Dodd. I was in a political race against Senator Dodd. I was the first to get into it. I was told at the time, just as I was told in the race against Sam Gageson, you can't win. He's well known. He's the son of a senator. He's got 95% name recognition in the state of Connecticut. You're wasting your time. Well, I, in fact, told some of my friends and neighbors I was going to do it in December of 2008. In 2009, I traveled to Washington, announced my plan, and then declared early in 2009. And I spent a whole year working away at it. And there were others who were concerned about Senator Dodd and his performance. One of these groups out of Woodbury, Connecticut.
Yeah.
Right? One of these groups out of Woodbury, Connecticut. You know, they had bumper stickers. Wow. And they had slogans, and they had buttons. And they had cameramen who were everywhere, and people who were everywhere. And so this was really a popular response, if you will, and it took me several months to find out who they were. They operated in secret. There was this guy Smith. I didn't know who he was. Well, I'd seen the movie Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, but I finally was able to communicate through the mail, and eventually, see, I worked for the CIA. Eventually, he broke cover, and I found out. But you know, the point is that we had a similar interest, And after a year of work, and after a year of fundraising, and after a year of developing endorsements, after a year of hard work, you know, 6-7 days a week, 12 to 14 hours a day, traveling around the state and around the country, what happened? What happened?
He gave up.
He bailed out.
He quit.
Yep.
He quit.
Yep.
That was the beginning. It wasn't because of me. It was because of
Us.
It wasn't because of him. It was because of us.
Us, the Tea Party.
The people. The people. It was because of the people. And maybe I did some things that nudged him. Maybe the cameras did things that nudged him. But ultimately it was the people, because ultimately the people who responded to the polls said no. And the polls had me ahead month after month after month after month. I didn't do the polls. Quinnipiac and Rasmussen. The polls were calling people, and people were giving responses. And when the president came up to Connecticut, and the vice president, how'd it work out?
Yeah, nothing.
How'd it work out? It didn't work out very well.
They weren't happy.
In fact, after the president came up, and everyone told me, "That's it, Rob. You know, you're going to be out." I said, "I'm not quitting." They said, "Well, the president. What are you going to do?" The president came up, and the next poll, I'd gone up 4 points. So the message from the people is that, yes, we respect the office of president. Yes, we respect the office of vice president. But, you know, we are citizens here in the state of Connecticut. We're educated. We're knowledgeable. We work hard. We know what we want. And we're not going to be buffaloed or pushed around into changing our mind on something that we as citizens have a right to make a decision on. That's what it's all about. So let me just say this before we get into some questions. For all of those in the room who are running for public office, is there anyone else in the room running for public office? Please stand up. All of you that are running for public office. Standing in the back. For all of you running for public office, thank you for throwing your hat in the ring, because it gives your fellow citizens the opportunity to make a choice. And choice is what this is all about. For all of you who are running for public office, you will probably find that you have disagreements on certain issues that will come up this afternoon. I'm sure there are those in the room who will disagree with me. That's fine. That's just the nature of the process. We can disagree and not be disagreeable. That's, I think, one way to look at it. And also I can say to you candidly and honestly, I've been very happily married for 36 years. 36 years, very happily married.
Still a newlywed.
But we don't agree on everything. We try, but we have disagreements. And